皆様こんばんは。今週も始まりました Cardano Radio。いやー、先週のアダムの話楽しかったですね。本当に盛り上がりましたね。30分を超えるいい番組になりましたけどね。だいたいね1エピソード15分と言ってるんですけど、15分で終わった試しがない。まあそんだけね熱く語り合えるという素敵な Cardano Radio でございます。というところでね、今週もう最後のエピソードになるんですけどね、ここでアダムさんをお呼びしたいと思います。Hey Adam, thank you very much for coming back to our last episode. It's kind of sad it's the last episode, but thank you.
Hey, Chris. Yeah, thanks for having me on again.
Yeah.
Sad this is the last one, but we'll call it the last one for now. I'm sure I'll be back again.
Yeah. So, we did a lot of, deep in Cardano governance talk and stuff like that. So, we were like talking a little bit off air about, we also mentioned about Hydra and stuff. So, I'll pass the mic to you because you can be the teacher, because I think I can learn in our final episode. So, can I pass the mic and can you give me the topic that we can talk about?
Yeah, well, something that, I think we've kind of touched on a lot, because we talked about governance, we talked about my backstory and how kind of the backstory of what got me interested in crypto in the first place was governance, right, and voting. And so we've got this really cool tool, I think. I am biased because I'm the one developing the tool, obviously.
Yes.
But it's called Ecclesia, and it's a new voting platform for the Cardano ecosystem, but it's using Hydra as a state channel in a really novel way to use state channels, and it's really interesting, I think, because we're right in the middle of this intersect budget season, and we're going to use Ecclesia really for the first time live in a Hydra head to do voting and governance on chain and then settle the results. So I'm pretty excited about it.
I see. So when are you going to see it live? Do you have the specific date for the voting?
I'm not 100% sure. I think that is already on the intersect budget process. Let me see. May 26th. So we should be right around today, I think, getting started the voting. If not next week. And so the cool thing is that what we're doing is that when we have a vote, and the way, kind of Cardano on-chain governance works right now is, for one, everybody that wants to propose a governance action has to put up a very large deposit, right? 100,000 ADA that they have to log for like up to 36 days or 35 days in order to ask like a single question, because all of our votes on Cardano are yes or no, right? Like that's the only answer you can really get out as a result of them. And you can add a new constitution or add people to the CC or do these other things. But what about, like asking, how do you feel about this on a scale of 1 to 5? We can't really capture those things with the current state of how on-chain governance works. And a lot of those questions are more informative. They don't really change the state of governance on Cardano, but they help us to make better yes/no decisions in the future, right? So we see this a lot. It's been particularly poignant with a lot of the Japanese community discussion of what should we set the net change limit to. And right now we're kind of like simplistic in that somebody has to put up a net change limit and say, well, I think it should be 300. I think it should be 350. I think it should be 200. Everybody's just kind of guessing around. We don't really have this way to just ask people on a scale of 0 to 350, where do you think it should be set? And so I saw this need in Cardano governance for kind of more granular and different types of questions to be asked to help us make well-formed decisions. But the other problem with this on-chain governance is that every time we put a governance action on-chain, we're asking some group, whether it's the DREPs or the constitutional committee, the CC members, or the SPOs to pay a network transaction fee to cast a vote.
True.
And then we have to go through this big kind of like social engineering process to encourage or shame everybody into voting. But there's this kind of like weird effect, because every time you cast a vote on the actual L1 mainnet, you have to spend a little bit of your ADA.
Yeah.
So you're actually like losing your personal power every time you cast a vote.
True.
And so, particularly around like info actions, if I as a holder did not have a ton of ADA, I wouldn't want to just kind of like slowly deplete all of my funds by having to put all these L1 transactions on chain just to let you know what my opinion on a question is.
True.
And so what we do have is this great technology called Hydra. It's been around for a couple of years now. And it develops a state channel that branches off of the L1 and then eventually settles onto the L1 at the end of the Hydra head. And so what's really cool about that is that the Hydra node operates with the exact same rules in terms of like smart contract execution, UTXO set, everything else. It's isomorphic, which means it matches the L1 state. And so when we're talking about something like a vote or an election, we don't really care that each individual vote is like an L1 transaction. What we really care about is that we start a ballot and we know what the questions are. And then at the end of it, we know how everybody voted, right? Like it's not super useful to see every single vote. It is useful if you're trying to audit and prove that the vote was legitimate. But it's not really useful on the L1 to have those vote transactions live forever in the history of the chain, especially if we're not changing the state of the L1. And so what we do with Ecclesia is we prepare the ballot, we get all the questions that we're going to ask, and we can ask multiple questions in a single ballot, right? It's not just one question, yes or no. It can be 100 different questions that are on the ballot. We put all those into a Hydra state channel, and then individual groups, whoever we want to vote, can come in, and we use their same keys. So if you're a DREP, we use your DREP key. If you're an ADA stakeholder, we use your stake key. If you're a stake pool, we use either your cold key, or we have this idea of a Calidus key or a hot voting key that you can promote. And so we actually use a signature from your verified L1 credentials inside of the Hydra head, and we record all of those votes inside the Hydra head. And so we, the vote lasts for, a week or a month or 3 days or however long it lasts. Everybody comes in and they cast their votes. And then at the end of it, we tabulate up all the results and we publish the proof of how the ballot went down, like what were the results of this election, back to the L1. So we actually only end up with 2 transactions on the L1, even though we can have tens of thousands or potentially millions of voters participating. And in the meantime, you're casting, these 100 votes on 100 different questions and sharing your opinion, and there's no cost to you as the DREP or the stakeholder or the SPO. So there's, I feel, more incentive to participate this way, because you do get verifiable L1 proof of how people voted, but we're not kind of bleeding people via microtransactions in order to ask them their opinion. So it's really cool. We're using it, like I said, right now for the Intersect budget process, and pretty soon the Intersect Constitutional Committee elections. And we're also going to be using it kind of more regularly just to ask questions. I touched on it, like let's ask the community what they think the net change limit should be, but not by only giving them 2 or 3 choices that they have to choose from, binary style. Let them all choose a number, and then we see where the average people, like which number does the average land on? Because that's kind of where we should probably be thinking if we want to truly represent the community and not only the big interests. That might have incentive to set that number very high because they want to spend a lot, whereas maybe the average person wants us to be more frugal and have a lower limit. So yeah, I mean, so there's a lot of this cool stuff that we're doing. And yeah, like I'm really excited about Ecclesia because and we have like a bunch of docs. It's all open sourced or will be soon, to where other explorers and other tools can integrate it. And so like maybe your wallet can actually have the voting interface right inside the wallet, to where you don't even have to visit a separate website and stuff like that. So I'm really excited about it. But it's been a long time coming, like I said last week in my origin story episode. How to do governance has been kind of one of my earliest thought processes since coming to Cardano. And Hydra and these state channels, I feel like really finally makes it possible to do it at large scale. And so obviously the next step will be figuring out how we go beyond simply on-chain governance and actually use this for, whatever, like your homeowners or community groups or even like nation states. Like how can they vote using Cardano with proof that the elections were legitimate on the L1. But with, there's still a lot of open questions that we have to get there too, because like when we're talking about nation voting and stuff like that, usually we want private votes, right? So we need some sort of a selective disclosure or privacy or zero knowledge to say, yes, this is a valid voter, but you can't see who they are. So that way you can't go and, intimidate them for voting for the competition or whatever the case may be.
True. I mean, right now it's what you mentioned was for Cardano governance, but probably, after this year, probably quickly Midnight will have its own governance. I mean, I'm running an explorer called nightforge.jp, and I got all the APIs coming in, so I can see already the governance, the prototype page going on and stuff like that. But what you said was selective disclosure, I thought that was like a keyword. So if the government gets ready in Midnight and the voting starts, I mean, basically you can just use that system for Midnight, right? If they like it.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, I don't know in terms of like what they have available for doing the same concept of state channels and kind of like isolating out the voters.
Yeah, true.
But it could be something where we publish the proof on Midnight.
Yeah.
So that way, we can say like, hey, here's 1 million people that voted, and here's proof that they're all the right voters, right? They're all Japanese or American citizens, without saying who they are, right? So I view it as, Midnight and Cardano will always work hand in hand. We have the public side of things that can live on Cardano, and then the selective disclosure and the zero knowledge stuff can live on the Midnight side. And so they work together and complement each other rather than being everything on Midnight or everything on Cardano. Blend the best of both worlds, where you put the public stuff where the public can get it on Cardano and put the selective disclosure stuff on the Night side of things.
Yeah, true. Because when you go voting for like whatever the topic is, sometimes being a D-Rep and there are a lot of people behind. In my case, I'm just a small little tiny winsy D-Rep, but like sometimes you really debate, because let's say my friend is making a proposal and he wants to take like, I don't know, $1 million worth of ADA out, and it looks legit, but like is it the right time to take it out? Or you really think about it, and being friends and saying no is kind of like, if they know who you are, it's you might not get the backfire. But like you said, if it's like the selective disclosure comes in and like a delegate from Japan or like delegate B, then it'll be easier for you to give honest opinions, no more biased stuff.
I mean, yeah, possibly. The problem I have with that, like with D-Reps, the way they exist in Cardano, is that you are representing other people.
True.
Right? So the people that are delegating to you should be allowed to see how you vote to make sure that the way that you vote aligns with how they believe, right? And so, I think that if you want, if you want to be a D-Rep and be private, you should probably like have like no metadata attached, and not be publicly campaigning for to represent other people and get their stake power as part of your power. So that way you're just a self-voter and you can remain private and anonymous. But I mean, if you're out there publicly going like, I, Adam or Chris will represent you and your best interest on Cardano, those delegates deserve to know if you're actually representing their best interest or not. So there is, and so that's the way we have it here in America, right? Like I can look up the voting record of all of my representatives in the Senate and stuff. Like they're not allowed to privately vote because otherwise, how do I know if I should re-elect them or elect the other guy if I don't know how they're voting to represent me?
I see. And one thing is like it feels like to when you vote, all the rationales that you have to write. Like in my case, sometimes if I don't have time, I try to keep my voting rate 100% because I don't want to miss it. I just want to be involved. But sometimes it's time consuming to write like rationals every single time, and I kind of gave up on that. So if it's like something that I'm really deep inside and I want to express my opinions, I'll put my rational. But otherwise, maybe I'm not doing it right, but I tend to keep it open sometimes. But I hope that is okay with the community.
I think it's okay, right? Like especially if you're voting yes on things. Yeah. You're saying like, I agree with this. Like you don't really need to like prove why you agree with something. I think adding rationale is more important if you're voting no, because that lets, whoever was putting up that proposal maybe make a better proposal in the future. Like, so providing constructive feedback and criticism, I think is more important than just saying, adding a rationale to say, yes, I agree with this, and that's kind of how I viewed it when we were serving on the Constitutional Committee as well, right? Like, if we're saying this is constitutional, I mean, it means there's nothing wrong with it, right, is what we were saying. So we don't need to provide a bunch of justification why there's nothing wrong with it, because you can't really prove a negative. But if we're saying there's something wrong with it, then we better be able to back that up and point to specific places in the Constitution where like the Constitution says this and you didn't do that, ergo it's unconstitutional. So I think when you're saying no, it's a lot more important to have rationale than when you're saying yes. Yeah,
true. If you just say no for no reason, then it's a big no for them too. So I completely...
Yeah, that's when it's like, oh, well, do they just not like me and then they're never going to pass something? Or, oh, if I change this language a little bit, then people would actually, or if I change my budget down or something, what would help this thing pass? Or maybe the number, if we're changing a protocol parameter or something, maybe the number wasn't quite right. I guessed, and the community doesn't really like that number, but they like a number 2 steps higher or lower or something. So, I think, rationale is kind of, especially again, if you're public, if you're a private person just representing yourself in your own interest, I mean, you can do whatever you want, right? But if you're representing other people and you're voting no, particularly, you should really always have a rationale there.
True. All right. Thank you very much. I think it's going to be a wrap soon. Is there anything you want to add on, or do you think you spoke enough for the time being?
No, I mean, I've been talking a lot these last couple of weeks, so, sorry. And I can always yap on, obviously, especially when we're talking Cardano, I can go all day. But thank you again for having me. It's been wonderful, and looking forward to the next time I can come on the show.
All right, thank you. And how this Cardano Radio is like working. We have the guests introduce us to the next guests, and if you can't really think of anybody from top of your head right now, I mean, you don't have to mention their name or anything, but later on, I mean, we still got a little bit of time, so if you can introduce me to the next guest, and if I can bring them to the show, that would be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a couple people in mind, but nobody that's like for sure confirmed, or I don't know if they've already been on the show. So I'm gonna run some options by you, and we'll go from there.
All right. Well, let me do the chitty chitty chat real quick in Japanese, and I'll be right back. はい、皆さんということでですね、アダムもう最高ですよね。Amazing 4 weeks のエピソードでございました。ね、来週どんなゲストが来るのか皆さんまたお楽しみにしておいてください。OK、アダムさんありがとうございます。Thank you so very much for coming. I had a blast. Great 4 weeks.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah. So we will see you in the future episode.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Voting DeFi's alive, liquidity streams. Cardano's building real world dreams. ADA, we rise on your wings. From blockchain roots to real world things. DeFi, governance, midnight align. Cardano's vision, the future defined. DJ for stability, Indigo's right. USDA coming just decentralized. Decks are trading, pools stay deep. Stake, delegate, rewards to keep. Midnight with dust, protecting the right. Privacy balance with laws in sight. Identity verified, freedom intact. Zero knowledge whispers guard every act. From Voltaire's voice to Treasury song. On-chain decisions where